engineering section of the Night Rock. Hawn's crew and family had gathered, sharing jokes and passing several bottles of drink, both intoxicating and not. They spoke of events of the recent days and weeks as they waited for Hawn to arrive. They had flown out to scout the incoming fleet to get a concrete range for the size of the oncoming force. During the initial contact and skirmish with the lead elements of the gargantuan armada, which easily sported 1,000 capital-class vessels, Hawn and Lefty were able to infiltrate the Cosmos ship in the confusion to gather as much intel on their incoming enemies as possible. After breaking off and circling back under the cover of the Night Rock's impressive stealth systems nearly 3 days later, Lefty and Hawn managed to use the Cosmos ship's own translocation systems to teleport back to the Night Rock undetected. To ensure they avoided detection, the Night Rock only came within teleportation range for 15 minutes each of the 3 days before Hawn and Lefty finally returned. Lefty was in possession of a large, cylindrical object with some sort of fluid collector on its end, and made sure to secure it in his quarters as soon as he had fully manifested on the teleport pad. Hawn was much harder to read, merely shaking his head as the swift exit of Lefty from the translocation chamber occurred. That had been a week of travel and 23 hours of rest and relaxation ago. Hawn had messaged each of them earlier to be here, so that he could clear the air and they could explore the next steps to be taken. The matter of Gaz's disappearance had not yet been addressed by Hawn to anyone's satisfaction, and none dared the glare that Lefty would unleash if queried on the matter more than once. Hawn had called for this meeting here in the engineering section, so that Navi was also personally included. Not that Navi truly understood the difference, as he felt just as included regardless of if it was his core frame or one of his drones that was present. However, everyone knew that it meant something to Hawn, so knew that this meeting was going to be serious, but informal. He was not going to arrive and hand out marching orders. He was going to bring everybody up to speed, and after, they would discuss the hows and the whys, forming their next steps thusly. Lefty was not present, as he had left for Farmhome almost the second the Night Rock was in teleportation range of Nomad's Forge, carrying his odd prize from the enemy ship along with him. Hawn had made arrangements for a general meeting of the captains and the commanders of the not insignificant number of ships and flotillas that had rallied to Nomad Forge's aid to take place later in the day. He had met with several of the leaders of the largest contingents of the fleet already, including the head of Ego Corps, Varia. Ego had sent 100 super heavy capital class vessels and their attendant fleets, with Varia herself directing and commanding the flotilla. The meeting between them went on for some time, with both departing as inscrutable as when they had entered. A meeting with the leader of the flotilla of 5 capital-class Praetor Pathbreaker vessels was next. According to hearsay across the fleet and the station, the 5 ships and the 180 corvettes that they acted as carrier and base station for were vessels that were decommissioned from Pathbreaker service, along with the complement of Praetors that served as the crew, and the uncharacteristically high number of otherwise superfluous men-at-arms. Their choice to assist in Nomad Forge's defense, while greatly appreciated by most of the forces assembled, was not clearly understood in its reasoning, and those gathered figured this would be another thing that Hawn would clear up for them. Navi, of course, was the first to detect Hawn entering from a service access in the rear of the engineering section, but as normal, said nothing. It would have been rude to interrupt Mazzy's retelling of the encounter on the space station with the Antonii, as the little ones were enthralled, and a fair bit intoxicated. The sudden disappearance of Gaz had hit them both hard, and they knew whatever answers were about to be revealed, they were still short a brother. So they drank and told stories of his best moments, or lost themselves in the tale of Mazzy or the others. As Mazzy wound her telling of the story down, Hawn made his presence known by tossing a large bottle of expensive and rare spirits to Mazzy. Smiling, she ensured that everyone had a filled glass before going to fill Hawn's proffered cup. Now full, Hawn rose his cup and spoke. "To comrades, both the fallen and those still with us, never shall you be forgotten." All responded in unison and drained their drinks. Each of them were blinded for but a moment as the energies of the drink rippled throughout their bodies, escaping as light from their eyes. As each recovered, they set their attention to Hawn, who had his cup refilled, and when all were ready, he began. "Okay, first things first. If the presence of Lefty didn't make things clear, yes, we are in an HOD scenario. There are others, one that is aware of his status, the other not so illuminated as of yet. No, I am not aware of the scales or aims of the threat or the enemy, not in any meaningful way. What I am aware is bad enough, and that brings us to our first issue. Gaz." The little ones looked up and searched Hawn's face, pleading for closure and answers with open eyes. What they found was a mournful inquiry. "How did you miss it?" Hawn shifted his gaze between the two. "How?" Now his gaze moved to Navi. "How did you not catch it?" To Mazzy. "Or you? Are you not security?" And finally, he looked at the LT and the captain. "Or were you too busy being lovebirds that you missed something so obvious?" Everyone was stunned, taken aback. What was Hawn talking about? What had they missed? Hawn continued before any response could be formed. "The only thing saving the lot of you from a thrashing is my own failure to notice." Hawn swept his focus across them all, with anger and shame competing for dominance of his features. "Somehow, during our retirement, we lost Gaz. We lost him, and a shifting sentinel took his place, most likely after consuming him utterly, and none of us noticed the clear tell." The looks exchanged at this announcement bordered on incredulity, and if Mazzy hadn't spoken up, it would have been such. She asked Hawn how did he get it to surrender and allow itself to be contained in a small star metal case, for she was the one standing guard outside the room of Gaz's quarters as Hawn and Lefty went to speak to him, just before he vanished. Mazzy saw Hawn hand a large sealed star metal cylinder to their divine guest at the time, Ortis Skychild alone, after leaving Gaz's quarters, merely ordering them to be sealed. "Is that still in place, Mazzy? The seal, that is?" Hawn asked, to which Mazzy confirmed that it was. Before Hawn could continue, the little ones demanded he explain what everyone had apparently missed. They were confused, angry, and desperately in need of answers. Hawn nodded and asked one simple question. Has anyone seen or checked in on Gaz's crystal garden since we set up on the night rock? Both of the little ones froze in shock. Mazzy cursed, and the sound of rapid record searching and processing could just barely be heard from Navi in the near silence. I only noticed when Lefty and I stepped in to confirm Ordis's claims. It looked like the day you two installed it. Not a fraction of an inch of growth on any of the crystal bases. Gaz's crystal garden was perhaps the only thing where the scarred and broken Kriston still showed emotion or expression. It was his pride and joy, and he would, well, before they all went into retirement, that is, invite each of them to see the progress about once a quarter, if not once a month, when he was in the midst of a project much more often. In the rush and excitement of coming out of retirement, and the rate of actions that they had been performing, the absence of this minor ritual had gone unnoticed by one and all. As to how I got it to surrender, that is between me, Lefty, and it. A promise of confinement over extermination was a part of it, however. Hawn nodded to Mazzy, and she began to fill each person's glass again. Far as I can tell, having checked over everything I can myself, we lost Gaz during the retirement years, while he was at the retreat we made for him. Maznoa was pouring into Hawn's cup. Mazi, unseal Gaz's room after we're done here, and the rest of you, one and all, are welcome to search it or examine it, respectfully of course, but after you've seen what you need to, and are all done, it's getting sealed for good. Everyone exchanged their thoughts on the matter quickly, arranging who would do what, and returned an estimate of needing about 24 hours after the unsealing to finish gathering what they'd need. They also agreed with sealing Gaz's room for good, as all concurred that Gaz was deserving of such a tribute. The little ones were very, very quiet, and Hawn expected that they would be for quite some time. The fact that Gaz was targeted shows us what kind of foe we face. Hawn looked at each of them in the eye. The Cosmos ship that threatens us is too the work of our foe, and just as with the matter of Gaz, it is only part of a larger scheme. Right now, our part is to deny the foe this place, to keep them from taking our new home. It appears the powers that be seem to feel that we would fight harder for that which was ours. A mournful smile slid across his face. They're right, of course, but I wouldn't have given Gaz away for a dozen of these system forges. But this is the situation we are in, so it's time for us to go to work. With that, Hawn began to bring up schematics and plans for the defense of Nomad's Forge, ensuring all could see what preparations had been made, were to be made, as well as timetables and a host of information about each of the interwoven defense systems. I am sure you are all familiar with the basics of this stratagem. Our foe cannot risk the use of its largest weapons, for fear of damaging the station. Therefore, it is most likely that their intent is to board and gain control of Nomad's Forge via boarding torpedoes, with additional strike teams transported in as they disable local shielding, or worse, gain access to the teleportation chambers. So long as they cannot get close enough to launch these boarding actions without having to lose vast portions to intercepting point defense fire, then, by simple virtue of having a literal system to continually resupply and repair our battle damage from, we win any protracted scenario. For the next few hours, they covered every contingency and eventuality they could imagine. By the time they had settled and agreed on the details of the matter, the bottle Hawn had brought was long empty, and all were ready and eager to get things done. Unspoken amongst each of them was a desire to find the one who had given the order to target Gaz, and each was intent on seeing this particular slight to their honor righted with gratuitous force. That would have to come after they defended their new home. And with what they had on hand and en route, it would be a hard fight, but so long as they didn't muck it up, they stood a good chance of winning. With victory in this, Hawn assured the closest thing he had ever had to a family. We are set to stride forward in ways that none, not even our foe, can be prepared for. He stood up and the doors exiting the engineering section slid open. Let's make a name for ourselves, and an example out of the poor fools who think they can try to muscle us out of our home. Each snapped a salute in unison to respond, to which Hawn happily reciprocated. Now, let's get it done. We have less than a month. Dismissed. If you'd like to contribute to the further exploration and explanation of the realms, please consider leaving a comment, a like, and sharing the video around. I read all the comments and make efforts to reply to each. Thank you for helping to grow the channel, and know I look forward to each and every one of your comments. Other methods of support can be found in the channel's description. Thank you for watching,